Everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Shalonda. I'm the owner of Sophisticated Urban Girl Boutique, or Shug Boutique as it's known. And I want to just come today and give you my experience attending a vendor fair. And when I say a vendor fair, I'm not talking about a pop-up shop explicitly. I'm more talking about like those vendor or craft fairs that you see maybe at your local community center. And I just want to talk about, like I said, my experience there, especially as a brand new boutique. And so if you're a new boutique and you're thinking about going to a vendor fair, this may be of help to you. So I just want to give you a little back information about Shug. Shug did officially launch on November 9th, so that's when the website officially launched. And the vendor fair that I attended was on November 23rd, or Black Friday, to be specific. And so I have a few notes here just so I won't forget what to talk about, but I just want to say how I was able to find the vendor fair. So if you're looking for a vendor fair, what I feel is the easiest way to find it, the most efficient way, is just to, in your Google search, put vendor events and your city. So vendor events Kansas City, vendor event Chicago, vendor events Minneapolis. And what I found is that when I found the vendor event that I wanted, there was an open Facebook page dedicated to vendor events. You really couldn't comment if you aren't part of Facebook, which I'm not yet, but you could find the events and the promoter of those events. Another way that I found vendor events is that I've looked on Craigslist, and you find some there too, but there's a lot of overlap between the two, Craigslist and Facebook. Some other ways that I've seen them there are these particular or specific websites that I guess promoters can go to and put their events on there, but you do have to be a member of those. You can find events on those, but then you'd have to do another step and Google that event because you won't be able to get all the information. And so Facebook and Craigslist have been the ways that I found them, and that's how I found mine. So the one that I found was for Black Friday. The time for the event was from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the cost of the event was $110 if you were only going to do it on Black Friday, but you did have the option to be there all weekend. And so you could be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if you chose to do that, you paid $290. So there was a little bit of a discount if you were going to be there all 3 days. But I only chose to do it on Black Friday because it was my first time ever doing it. And so the types of people the types of vendors that were at the event on Black Friday. So what happened was the promoter rented out some space in the mall. So the event took place in the mall. Sometimes they do take a place in a community center. Sometimes they take a place in a bar. They can take place anywhere that the promoter has set up. But this one for Black Friday was in the mall, in like a rotunda area type a situation. And there were several different vendors there. And just to give you an example, so I would say that I was the only like typical boutique there, but there were other clothes sellers. So there were some person selling clothes with specific signage on it. There was someone selling ethnic clothing and accessories. And then there was another woman there selling the specific socks. Otherwise, the other type of vendors that you might have seen, like AT&T was there. Tupperware was there, and she was killing it, y'all. And like people who sell like lip stuff or those nail decals, things like that. And actually that was the majority. It was a lot of different type of vendors. I would say most of them weren't in the clothing business, but that's what it was. And so I went there, and it was all day. So if you go to one and it's all day, or even 8 or 6 hours, when I signed up, after the fact, I thought like, oh my gosh, how am I going to eat? How am I going to relieve myself to like use the restroom? Because actually you're not there from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. You're there from more like 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. because you have to set up. The other thing is setting up. How are you going to set up? How are you going to get all your information or all your stuff there? I will try to link in some photos. I don't have a video for this particular vendor event. I was like going live, I think, on Instagram maybe, or something, but I didn't like take actual photo video, because the night before my brother helped me bring a table and a chair and a tablecloth, because of where he works he has access to that sort of thing. But some vendor events, they will say like chair included, table included, and some won't, and so you will have to just determine that when that event is set up. But I brought one. My brother helped me bring it like maybe 2 nights before. But the morning of, when I was bringing all my merchandise, I had to do that all on my own. So I had my boxes of clothing, and then I had a rack. I decided to bring this backdrop that you see behind me and the poles that hold this up. And so there was not a dolly or anything to help you get from your car to get this stuff set up. Luckily, there were some nice people to help me set up this backdrop, but otherwise you really were on your own. So that is something to think about when you're thinking about how much stuff you're going to bring. If I were to do it again, I would not bring as many items. I would try to bring one of every size. When you order clothing, you get more than that. You get usually 2 of every size. I try to bring 1, but that really is just too much stuff, especially if you're lugging it on your own, in my opinion. So I wouldn't do that again. But yes, so you will want to remember, like, how will I set this stuff up? Another thing that to think about when you're thinking about going into a vendor event is to determine how is the vendor promoting this event. And so this was my first event. I was just excited to be able to do it, and so I didn't know until after the fact, or I was learning as I was looking for these events, like, how is this being promoted? And so what I would say, for example, is that you may see on like the Facebook page, you'll see the promoter saying, I need vendors and crafters for an event on, for example, December 15th. Then some savvy vendor who's done this before will ask the promoter, like, okay, how's this event being marketed? How many people are you expecting to come? What is the cost? And they'll have like a list of things that you'll be like, oh man, I should have been thinking of that too. What I noticed from a couple of different promoters is they say like, oh, we're promoting this event on Facebook. We're promoting this event on Instagram. We're promoting this event with flyers and on this particular radio station. Now, I'm not on Facebook currently, but I am on Instagram. And so I would just go and plug in that promoter. And at least twice, I've noticed that that promoter isn't on Instagram at all, or they haven't logged in or posted on their Instagram since like May. And so that was a red flag to me, like if I wanted to sign up for that vendor event, because if you're not promoting this event, I pay you to enter this event and you're not promoting it to the public. I'm also a customer and I'm not hearing about this event on my radio station or on any channels that I'm watching. And so how does the public know to go to this event if the promoter is not promoting it? So that's something you want to be mindful of too when you're thinking about these vendor events. The other thing is, does it fit your brand? And so the one I signed up for on Black Friday, I was on the fence with that one for a while. I finally signed up for it, and I'm glad I did, because for one, it gave me exposure, it gave me experience. I had never used my chip and swipe reader, but I did there because I made a couple sales. And it gave me some insight into myself of how I need to be as a salesperson, how I need to be more assertive as a salesperson. So there are benefits or pros and cons to doing it, but also you need to figure out, like, do the other vendors here fit my brand? Will this be a good fit for me? And so that's something you need to determine. Is the area a good fit for you? Do you think you'll have your ideal customers coming to that area? So you need to be thinking about all those sort of things when you set up, or if you want to attend a vendor event. Also, you know, the cost. Will you break even at least? Because sometimes, especially if you're new, maybe it's just about getting exposure. Or maybe it's about turning a profit. You have to figure that out. Maybe you can get people to sign up for your email. And so will you, because there was one I wanted to enter yesterday actually, and or yesterday, December 15th, because you guys don't necessarily know when I tape this. And I didn't enter it because it was kind of expensive to me, and I couldn't determine how it was being promoted. And so as much as I maybe wanted to enter it, I just couldn't figure out who they were trying to get to come to this event, and I didn't want to pay my money to enter the event, and I didn't know how they were going to get customers in the door. But sometimes you do have to take a risk as a new business and just pay the money and see. Even though, so I went to the event on Black Friday, excuse me, I'm kind of jumping around. And I will say, in general, I felt like it was slower than I expected. But I think that's for Black Friday. I don't think Black Friday is what it once was, period. So I won't blame the promoter for that. I did get a few sales, and honestly, those were the first sales that I've gotten. I've had my own event, and I've had the vendor event, and that's where I've been making my sales in person. Because when you start out online, you have to get yourself out there, and I'm on social media, but people still don't know you yet. But when you're in person, you can show your items, sell your items, and it is a different experience because you're taking it directly to the customer. Whereas when you first start out, you are kind of beholden to the algorithm of whatever social media site you're on, and how are you ranked yet, and all these things that aren't the case when you're face to face with a person. And so I'm saying all that to say, my plan is to go to at least 2 more vendor events to see. I really want to go to one that they have these ones kind of like ladies night out or mom's night out or girls night out, and I want to go to one that is marketed like that. And then I also just want to try another one before I say like they are or aren't for me. I will say that I felt okay with the Black Friday one. I didn't make a ton of money. I did make the money back that I spent. And so I was okay with that. But if you are thinking you want to make a bunch of money, I don't know enough about it to say for certain. I would say though, if you're new, it doesn't hurt to try it if you have money for marketing and think of it as marketing. So let me see if there's anything else. And I think basically that's it. Hopefully, I can come back in the next couple months and have had 2 more vendor events under my belt and let you know how those went and if I do it again. So that is my plan going forward. But thank you for coming on and listening to me talk about my first vendor event. If you have any questions about it, please leave a comment down below. I'm sure there's something I forgot to talk about, but that's basically the gist of it. And like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks, guys. Bye.